Okay, so earlier this morning, episode 24 of the Blue Lock anime finally aired, marking the end of the first season. And, at least from my opinion, the anime's been a little hit or miss for the most part. I honestly gotta say, I'm not disappointed on where we left off. I honestly thought this was like the perfect spot to end off season 1. Not only do we get to finish up the second selection along with the World 5 game and see everybody that actually made it through the second selection, but the amount of story beats that got touched on in one episode is honestly insane, and setting the grand stage for the next arc, that being the Japan U20 game. Before we get into this though, I do need to issue a quick spoiler warning. I am going to be going over the manga as I have to go over the story beats and implications that we touched upon and what you should be expecting to see in the second season. Really quick though, I actually have two things. One, we just hit 15,000 subscribers this morning.
Oh, fuck yeah, baby! 15 fucking K! Woo!
Honestly guys, I don't know what to say. Thank you so much. The growth on the channel, like I keep saying in every single one of these videos, has been insane. I do not know how I can thank you guys enough. This was a nice little checkpoint, but we are still on the road to 20k. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel with post notifications turned on so you never miss this gorgeous face. Like, come on. Okay, with that said, I've taken enough of your time. Let's get straight into this. Grab some snacks, fill your cups, and remember, I'm taking it easy on moms for a little bit. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Quickly to recap the episode, we see the end sequences of the World 5 game. The less said about this, the better. This is honestly such a letdown in my opinion, but we move. This is basically a slaughtering from the World 5. Dada Silva's too big, Loki's too fast, Adam Blake is too straight, and then Luna's just Luna. There's nothing more you could say about that dickhead. The game ends and we see our 5-man walking off discouraged, but something that they took away from the game was a newfound egoism as well as confidence in themselves as they just faced off against 5 players who, up until this point, seemed as some of the world's best who they'd only watch on TV. In their words specifically, even though it is pretty far away, becoming the world's #1 striker actually seems possible at the moment, which just goes to show you all these guys want to do is get getbacks. Like, genuinely. Following the World 5 game, the 5v5's little egoist anonymous meeting, shout out to the Discord, shameless plug, link in the description if you want to join, trust me, it's worth it. We get an announcement that the second selection has finally come to an end. 35 total players remaining, 7 total teams, all trying to become the #1 striker in the world. I'll clap it up, they actually did a pretty good job with this whole thing. It felt really hype and suspenseful. Going in order of how they cleared it, these are the 7 teams that qualified. Coming in first, obviously, is the team of Rin, Isagi, Bachira, Ryu, and Tokimitsu. Coming in second is the team of Chigiri, Baro, Nagi, Kyotojin, and Zantetsu. The third clear team consists of Karasu, Otoya, Yukimiya, Aiki, and Yuzu. Fourth clear team is a bunch of fodder, if I'm being honest. The fifth clear team consists of Nico, Hiyori, Saramadara, Ishikari, and then the Nishioka Messi dude, but he's injured so we don't see him. Team number 6 is Raichi Gagamaru, the silent Wanima brother who actually does talk now, Shiguma, and then Tanaka. And then finally, we see as everyone is anxiously waiting the arrival of the 7th clear team because 2 notable players are missing, that being Ryo and Kunigami. Eventually the door finally opens and everybody is graced with the lineup of Monk, Tetsu, Kurana, Mikage Ryo, and Shido Ryusei. And oh boy am I glad to see Shido Ryusei, baby! Okay, all I needed from this episode was the introduction of Shido Ryusei. If they introduce Shido Ryusei properly, no matter what else they did, I was gonna forgive this episode. But dear God, I love Shido Ryusei. Holy fuck. I mean this with the least amount of zest possible, but who allowed this man to both look and sound majestic as fuck? Like, oh, there's the dopamine. Following the team's arrival, both Isagi and Shigiri are starting to panic because they expected Kunigami to be here. They're like, where the hell is Kunigami? All for Shido to just walk up to Isagi and say, I sent that bitch packing. Obviously, they traded a lot more words than that. We get to know a little bit more about Shido as we get some top-notch voice acting. Again, I cannot get over how good Gojo's voice actor fits Shido. All of this almost eventually leading to a scrap until Shido attacks Isagi before Bachira reminds us that he really about that smoke because he's like, we can take this shit outside right now, bitch. You know what I'm fucking saying? Don't fuck with Isagi. That's my boy. Of course, following the arrival of all the teams, here arrives Jinpachi Ego to make a very important announcement for not only Blue Lock, but an announcement that can change Japanese soccer forever. We saw it a little bit earlier on in the episode, I just didn't want to touch on it till now, but it turns out that the heads at the JFU, the Japanese Football Union, the ones in charge of everything, want to shut down Blue Lock because they think it's useless and hasn't been working. Little do they know, Ego's been breeding some demons in this bitch. And so, having full confidence in not only the Blue Lock players, but believing in himself as well, Jinpachi Ego issues a challenge to the Japanese national team. the National Japan U20 team going up against the Blue Lock 11 in what's going to be the culmination of next season, the Japan U20 match, where if the Blue Lock 11 manages to win, they're not only going to keep Blue Lock alive, but hijack and replace the national team, effectively becoming the U20 team for Japan. One more time, shout out to the voice acting Ego in this case, because I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, and I know what happens. And just like that, the stage is set for Season 2's finale, the Japan U20 game. Obviously, it's the most hyped event in the entirety of the manga. I've talked about it in nauseum. Everyone else has talked about it in nauseum. And for good reason. It's literally that good. But just when we thought the stakes couldn't get higher, Ego announces that the U20 team enlisted the help of one more participant, that being the child prodigy, Itoshi Sai. And the look on Reen's face says it all. This isn't going to be a match, it's going to be a fight to the death. That actually brings us to the end of the episode, but we do get kind of a recap sequence, as well as a teaser for not only the U20 game, but the fate of Kunigami Rensuke. After Isagi monologues about his entire road getting to where he is now, as well as the possibility of succeeding in the U20 game, we get to see a distraught Kunigami walking presumably to the exit of Blue Lock. But, for all of us manga readers, we know what's really happening here. Sadly, they didn't show it, and I'm a little indifferent on it. I wouldn't have minded if they did. I don't mind that they didn't at all. But they heavily implied that Kunigami has been eliminated from Blue Lock, when that's obviously not the case. I won't touch on it anymore just because I don't want to go into too much detail. There's not even that much to cover. Let's just say Kunigami's not done yet. And with that, Season 1 of the Blue Lock anime comes to a brilliant close. Honestly, I loved this episode. Besides the World 5 game, I don't think I have anything to complain about, and I'm just gonna lump it in with the animation problems that the series has had. It's honestly not been the best. I really hope we get a different studio, or I hope those animators finally get a fucking break because they deserve it. But no matter how good this first season was, but I truly mean it when I say that this season is honestly gonna pale in comparison to the second season, because the Japan U20 game is simply that good. Believe all the hype you hear from me, from around the community. No matter what, if the animation can actually get back on track, the Japan U20 game is going to be the best game, match, set, whatever you want to call it, in the entirety of sports anime, and it's not even going to be close. Okay, on that controversial note, I think we're done here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, I really do appreciate it. For all the shade that I did throw at it, I honestly was a big fan of Blue Lock's anime from the start, and this series itself has become the focal point of my channel and grown my community immensely, so honestly, it's always going to have a special place in my heart, and even if I wasn't a big fan of the animation, I'm always going to enjoy the Blue Lock anime for what it actually is. But I am praying, hoping, just begging that the studio can figure out their shit, the animators can get paid properly, get the right breaks that they need to make the animation at the level of what it should be, and above all else, I just can't wait to see the peak of the Blue Lock manga finally animated when we get the Japan U20 game. With that said, that's all I got for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, as well as commenting down below if you thought the anime was a W or an L this season. I truly want to know what you guys are saying. One last note before I go, please just do yourself a favor and catch up with the manga. It's so much better than the anime could ever dream of. Well, with that said, that's all I got for you today. Love you guys. Take it easy.